between Uhuru Kenyatta and the Mungiki, or whether he liaised with any particular Mungiki member. EVDPT OTP 00637 at 0132. The fact of the matter is this: there is no evidence that Uhuru Kenyatta ever solicited or sought or fostered the support of the Mungiki. Indeed, there is the converse that you will hear, his denouncements of the illegal, criminal Mungiki. The bottom line is, Your Honours, that Prosecution Witness 9 does not support these charges. I'd like to now take Your Honours to the 6 anonymous witness summaries that I referred to at the start. These are the anonymous summaries that concern Uhuru Kenyatta. Perhaps it's important at the outset to just consider how the Chamber must approach this evidence before we look at the nuts and bolts. Of course, the defence has not been told the identity of these witnesses, and such an approach has the following consequences. The defence has not been put, by virtue of the manner of the evidence relied upon, into a position where we are able to investigate and scrutinise the claims therein, a position, of course, which directly impacts, we say, on the probative value of this evidence to be evaluated by the bench. These summaries are best characterised as containing generic hearsay, unsourced, undated, to such an extent, I'm afraid, that we're not even able to assess whether you're being asked to look at first-hand hearsay, second or third. The probative value, we say, is nil. Now, the jurisprudence of the ICC on this point is very clear. In both Lubanga and Katanga, it has been held that in light of the fact that the defence cannot contest effectively the truthfulness and the authenticity of the evidence derived from these anonymous sources, those chambers have held at the pre-trial stage that that evidence can only be used to corroborate other evidence. And I know Your Honours are aware of the jurisprudence. We submit, in this case, that corroboration of anonymous evidence with anonymous evidence is simply unacceptable, as none of it can be pierced by the defence. And to assist, just let me draw to your attention in the case of Abu Garda, a case in which, of course, the charges were not confirmed. There, the pre-trial chamber found that it was unable to confirm an allegation that was based solely on an anonymous summary in relation to a different allegation which was supported by several anonymous summaries. The pre-trial chamber found that, firstly, considered as a whole, the summaries of interviews of anonymous witnesses lack specific information in that case to enable the chamber to establish to a satisfactory degree the allegation of the prosecution of effective control. Secondly, that allegations in the anonymous summaries were not supported by other evidence. Important, we say, guidance for the chamber when considering the state of evidence before you. Can I move now to the particulars of those summaries? And let me go first to confidential EVDPT OTP 00571, otherwise referred to as Prosecution Witness 5. Your Honours, the only line in this summary that refers to Uhuru Kenyatta, a 4-page summary, is the following unsourced piece of anonymous hearsay, and I quote at 0023 of that document. The witness heard that Njenga Karume, Uhuru Kenyatta and other politicians supported the Mungiki. Now, this evidence we submit is even significantly weaker than your traditional hearsay, where one person may report what he has heard from another. Here, not only do we not know who the witness is, we don't know where he allegedly heard it, when, how, or in what circumstances. The probative value of this one line is non-existent, and yet our learned friends rely time and time again on prosecution witness 5. Second summary, confidential EVD PT OTP 0058598. The quality we submit of the witness summary evidence deteriorates as we proceed. This 11-line summary from an unknown source, from an individual who was not ever interviewed by the Office of the Prosecution, contains the following single line relevant to Uhuru Kenyatta. I quote, "The witness heard that in some parts of Nairobi, some of the people believed that Uhuru Kenyatta was responsible for purchasing pangas." Now, we don't know the identity of the witness, nor can we know to who he refers. The line is no more than an unsubstantiated rumour, the basis of which cannot be assessed. Moreover, this individual doesn't even know that he's being used by the Office of the Prosecutor to build a case against Uhuru Kenyatta, the building blocks of which we submit are no more than sand. Third summary, confidential EVD PT OTP 00605. This is the second of the Uhuru Kenyatta relevant anonymous witnesses not interviewed by the Office of the Prosecution. Now, the relevant line in this half-page summary states the following. In the area of Mathare, Nairobi, the people believe that Uhuru Kenyatta purchased pangas for the youth. What does this actually say? And what does it actually mean? The people believe. Well, Your Honours, it defies our belief, in fact, that this document can be relied on to prove or satisfy anything at this stage. There can be no probative value in throwaway lines. Next, confidential fourth witness summary, EVD PT OTP 00572, otherwise known as Prosecution Witness 1. This anonymous individual alleges that Uhuru Kenyatta took the Mungiki oath. No information to support the allegation, no date, no information as to whether he saw it, heard it, or even gave it. Nothing. He also alleges that there were meetings that took place between the Mungiki and the government representatives, whereby prior to the elections, the Mungiki were recruited to support the PNU. After the breakout of violence, he alleges, the Mungiki were recruited to retaliate against perceived ODM supporters in the Rift Valley. And he alleges, as Your Honours have seen, that both Uhuru Kenyatta and Francis Mathara were involved in these meetings. The question has to be, surely, what the probative value of this evidence is. No date, no detail, no information as to who participated, whether the witness says he did or not, no opportunity whatsoever to scrutinise this summary prepared by the Office of the Prosecution. The question is whether this is really the quality of evidence that this chamber will allow to confirm the charges against this man. To do so, we submit, would be to lower the stature of this court. Fifth witness summary. Confidential EVD-PT OTP 00570, otherwise known as Prosecution Witness 6. Anonymous summary, series of allegations, no foundation whatsoever. It's worth just pausing, although I say that, to look at the quality of the allegation that is put, and I do so at 0017 of that document. I quote, "Witness heard that the displaced people knew that Uhuru Kenyatta had incited his members of the community to retaliate and evict opposition supporters from the place." I continue. "One source told witness that Kenyatta addressed a rally and that it was after the rally that the locals started targeting the perceived opposition supporters." I continue. "The opposition supporters believed that Kenyatta was providing financial sponsorship to the locals to threaten them." Is this really the level to which we must evidentially stoop? I'm afraid that this sort of evidence raises more questions than it answers. Neither the lawyer nor the layman could understand, perhaps, how such evidence is being used in this court. Untenable, no probative value. To accept this evidence puts us all at risk. This is not the stuff of the International Criminal Court. Your Honour, this same witness makes further allegations. He says he was told about Kenyatta's involvement in Naivasha and the fact that he initiated the meeting between the Mungiki and the President in State House. No date, no source, no information as to when even the meeting was supposed to take place. Simply untenable. It is not perhaps importantly just the defence that is being prevented from scrutinising this evidence. It is also, more importantly perhaps, the Chamber. The third allegation at 0018. The source told the witness that Kenyatta was responsible for paying for the head of each and every person that was killed. Kenyatta promised to pay the Mungiki 10,000 Kenyan shillings per head of a Luo or Kalenjin person in retaliation of what apparently had happened to their people. I quote, "Witness was not able to verify this information, even contained within the summary itself." I go on, fourth and final allegation from the same individual, so that I have comprehensively addressed them all, in case I should perhaps misquote or miss. Witness alleges that he got information from one of his sources, who was close to the Mungiki, that two meetings held at State House between the members of the Mungiki and the government. The first during the elections and the second during the post-election violence. I quote, "Witness was informed by a source close to Mungiki that at the second meeting, Mungiki was summoned to the State House to discuss how to protect members of the Kikuyu community who were being evicted. They needed to retaliate during the post-election violence which seemed waged by opposition members in the Rift Valley." No information as to the source, no information as to where the information came from, when or in what circumstances. Neither do we say that you can allow this anonymous source to be corroborated by prosecution witness 4, who we say has been shown and clearly demonstrated to be devastatingly untenable. The sixth and final summary. Confidential EVD PT OTP 00674, prosecution witness 10. Allegation at 0550. The witness explained that many politicians, such as Uhuru Kenyatta and others cited, were members of the Mungiki organisation. This witness is relied on by the prosecution extensively. The summary states, the witness is familiar with the long history of political coordination between Uhuru Kenyatta and his political associates and the Mungiki group. At 0551, I quote, according to the witness, he believed that despite their absence, government members were involved in the Mungiki going along to State House due to the fact that the meeting took place at State House. According to him, those involved must include President Kibaki, who resides there, and others who must have had knowledge, including, among others cited, who I won't name, Uhuru Kenyatta and Francis Mathara. No basis whatsoever for the beliefs, no dates. Your Honour, that concludes my analysis of the 6 witness summaries. I'd like to now move on to the other 11 documents I indicated at the start, and to address you in turn, because these are cited by the prosecution in the analysis tables as supportive of Uhuru Kenyatta's individual criminal liability. So let's take the first. It's public. EVD PT OTP 00272. And it's from the internet. And it's a who's who profile of Uhuru Kenyatta. Now, reliance is repeatedly put on this document. It's unauthored, it's unfootnoted, it's undated, and it's quite simply hearsay from the net. It contains an unsupported allegation that after December 2007, Uhuru Kenyatta dropped the inclusivist talk of the independent nationalists and became a staunch defender of conservative Kikuyu interests. Nothing to substantiate this throwaway line. You will hear from the man himself as to what he said and did. Indeed, one might even perhaps be a little embarrassed in an international criminal trial to have to rely on such evidence. It's certainly not, we submit, what the founders of this court had in mind when in Rome in 1998. Let's see if the evidence improves as we go. Can I please cite EVD PT OTP 0016? It's public. It's another article from the net. It's a news article from The Nation entitled Mungiki's Long History of Clashes with the Law. Interestingly, it's dated 2002, 25th of August, so 5 years before the violence. No author's name, no footnotes, no sources. What does the claim amount to? At 0232, it amounts to this. Last March, 3,000 of the sect, it appears they're referring to the Mungiki, said they would support local government minister Uhuru Kenyatta. At a meeting in Laikipia, the sect's members urged Mr. Kenyatta to gun for the presidency. This concerned a rally that Uhuru Kenyatta never even attended, solicited, requested, supported or fostered. It has zero probative value. Third, public, EVDPT OTP 00260, and it's the third document from the internet. And it's the second article from the Daily Nation on the web, entitled Kenya, Kanu in show of force as Rainbow threatens Kenyatta. And it's dated again back in the year 2002, the 8th of September. No author's name, no footnotes, no sources. What does it amount to contextually? It amounts to the following. It concerns President Moi starting the campaign for Uhuru Kenyatta to be his successor in the 2002 election, at which allegedly 20 cabinet ministers, 66 MPs were present at a rally in the Afraha Stadium in Nakuru. It contains comments about the campaign from opposition members. It's no more and no less than an article about political campaigning. It includes text reporting that Uhuru Kenyatta promised to form an all-inclusive government whose priority would be to fight unemployment and poverty, revive the agricultural marketing system, and get the economy back on its feet. It is reported that he said that he would recruit talent from all sectors of society and that he didn't know he would be Moi's successor until very recently. Nothing sinister there. There is one line in the article which refers to the reporter claiming that there was evidence of Mungiki presence at the rally. Again, so what? No evidence of request, solicitation, fostering of Mungiki support from this man. Fourth document, Your Honours, public, EVDPT OTP 00183. We moved from the net and the newspapers, and we moved to an academic. We moved to an article by Peter Mwangi Kagwanja, entitled Facing Mount Kenya or Facing Mecca, the Mungiki, Ethnic Violence and the Politics of the Moi Succession in Kenya, 1987 to 2002. The relevant page can be found at 0458 of the document I've cited. It refers, what does it amount to? Let's look at the reality of this document. It refers to the Mungiki announcing that they would back KANU and a number of its candidates, including Uhuru Kenyatta. It concerns the same rally that I've already addressed you on the 3rd of March 2002. No footnotes as to where the sources come from, which I submit must be rather surprising for an academic article, if the academic indeed intends to be taken seriously. Fifth document, public, EVDPT OTP 00267. Now, Your Honours, we're back to the internet. This article is from an unknown source entitled Kikuyu MPs Close Ranks, and it's dated 12th of April 2008. This concerns a group of 46 MPs holding meetings to try to create a consultative committee to advise Kibaki in the run-up to the 2007 election. The unknown author says that UK was one of those, Uhuru Kenyatta, one of those who attended such meetings. The author refers to this group of MPs as being ready to defend Kikuyu community should they be subject to further acts of violence. I quote, "It is to this end that some of them feel that the Mungiki sect and ultra-traditionalist Kikuyu movement should be ready in the wings, even though this movement is in fact illegal." End quote. Now, not only is it not known who wrote this article, Neither are the political persuasions of the person who wrote the article known. Neither is it known whether it was written for propaganda purposes, where it was published, and what the sources were, and whether in fact it was ever published anywhere other than the internet. We say evidentially useless. Sixth document, public, EVD PT OTP 00266. It comes from the same source as the previous document, and it's whatever that is, of course. The title is Battle for the Mungiki Sect in Kenya. What does it allege? What's the meat of the evidence that the prosecution relies on? Well, it's this. It refers to the Mungiki, and the author states, Uhuru Kenyatta would like to control this force because it has turned out to be crucial in defending Kikuyu in the Rift Valley against attacks from other ethnic groups during the political crisis. This would restore his reputation in the eyes of the Kikuyu and give him more force within his own community to go one day for the post of successor to Kibaki, end quote. Author anonymous. No information about whether it ever was published anywhere other than the net. At the risk of repeating myself, and I will take that risk, there is no information about the political potential bias of this witness. No source. Utterly valueless. Now I see that we are approaching 4 o'clock, Your Honours, and perhaps I can pause there before addressing you on the 7th of the 11 documents.
Well, thank you, Ms. Higgins. Probably it's good for you to take a break as well. Let us suspend now the hearing, and we shall resume it at 4:30, and you will have again the floor, Ms. Higgins.
All rise, we will there.